made me shake my butt, and I'm sitting down.
Today's groove brought to you by Rick Stojak.
Thank you.
We recommend taking 3 grooves once a day until your prescription runs out.
3 grooves and call me in the morning.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Drummers Education Connection. We're here just about every single Tuesday, the 4 of us most of the time. My name is Jeremy Steinkohler. I'm here with 3 excellent dudes, Rick Stojak, Bart Robley, and Chip Ritter. And it's an honor. It's an honor to be part of this. And this is my good thing for the day, is like just loving being on deck. And we have Deck Day. We are officially signed up for, not signed up. We are officially hosting another event, which is Deck Day, which is our annual live in-person clinic. We have 4 different clinics, one from each of us. We have tons of drum equipment giveaways from our sponsors. We have a head presentation from Aquarian Drumheads. We will be doing it at Aquarian down in Orange, California, again in April, on April 25th. Chip just put the link to the event in the chat. And there is, if you sign up now, you get in for a discounted rate. So that's my pitch there. Deck Day. It's super fun. We have so much fun at Deck Day, and you guys will too. It's just a blast.
This will be our 4th live event. Can you believe that we've done that many?
Yep. You learn so much, you make some friends, you walk away. Everybody wins something in the raffle. You get discounted pricing on heads. I mean, it's like a whole afternoon of like just loving drums and drum.
It's a blast.
It really is. And I'm so grateful for COVID, because had it not been for COVID, we wouldn't be here.
Wow. There's a silver lining there.
Yeah.
Silver lining.
Let's start with good things today. Let's kick it to Chip. What's good for you, Chip?
You know what? Speaking about goals, today, this morning, earlier, around 9:20 a.m. Tucson time, I finished editing my book.
Hey,
the final touches, and now it's just going over to my friend who's gonna make the changes that I put down, and then I'm gonna submit it. And I'm thrilled. I can't be happier about anything else in my drumming career right now. And that's about it. And being on the show with you guys is my good thing too. So there you go.
Chip, what's the name of your book?
Stick Tricks and Showmanship.
Awesome.
It covers, it's an ebook that has 7 different stick trick specific lesson videos in it that are exclusive to the book, never seen before. And in between those are different chapters of showmanship, becoming a better showman, entertainer, vision, fear, all kinds of good topics. It's loaded. I've been working on it for about 5 years, and taking breaks from it, of course, but it's been a labor of love. And talk about goals. I did not exceed my timeline. I had to keep pushing it back, but finally we're here.
Beautiful. Congratulations, man. I look forward to checking it out.
Thanks, man. I'm excited.
Chip, Bart, what's good for you right now?
You know, man, what's good for me right now is I am on tour with the band. We've done 7 shows in 6 days. We had a doubleheader day before yesterday. All of the places have been fantastic performing arts centers. I haven't played any casinos on these runs, but they've all been really nice soft seat theaters, as our friend Neil LaFortune in Canada calls it. The shows we've sold every show out. Played one place called Harold's Corral. It was a big outdoor venue. Amazing place. And really the caveat to the whole thing that is so great is that the band, man, we have oil in our joints right now. This run, we've just been, we've had some mishaps. We've had, a few things happen. We had a technical error one night and stuff, but man, we're just playing great. We're just playing so good. And I'm so proud of the band. And so that's going really good. And as a little plug for the tour, if you follow me on social media on Facebook, what I've been doing is every day after load in and sound check, I do a quick Facebook Live, and I give like a little short video lesson on, hey, watch out for this, look out for this, try this, make sure you do this type of thing. Real easy, simple, and to the point. And then the next morning, I pull it down off of social or off of Facebook, I download it and I re-upload it to YouTube. So if you want to see everything that we've been doing, every night of this tour, there's a video for it on my playlist on my YouTube channel, which is called Road Rash and Band-Aids. And you can watch and see what we've been doing and what we've been going through. And it's just been going great. So it's my good thing. And then my second good thing is, again, I'll second what you guys said, just being here on deck. I talked to my wife this morning. I'm like, man, I'm going to do deck today. I can't wait to see the guys. I haven't seen them in a while. And I knew we were going to talk about deck day, and I'm just really looking forward to it. So it's just, everything's really great right now.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Home runs. Bam, bam, bam. What about you, Rick?
Bam, lots of good stuff.
It's like the home run derby. That's what this is.
I am ecstatic and so excited about being able to play with you three guys at deck day and get all my students together. And it's just a short up the road from San Diego to Orange, and get to see that drumhead factory, to see Aquarian and where all the heads come from. So I'm really, really pumped up about that, constantly focusing on what am I going to teach? What am I going to do? The other good thing coming up now is this Thursday, I'm going to do an interview on the Drummers Pathway podcast with Michael Scott.
Nice.
Mike's the greatest, man.
Yeah, he's a really great guy, really, really smart guy and super articulate. And I was looking at all the people that he's interviewed. He just interviewed
like
Ash
Jeremy
Zone.
Steinkohler and Bart Robley.
Exactly.
I listened to all those podcasts.
Exactly. And so I'm just super pumped up about it. We're going to record it Thursday. I'm not sure when it will be broadcast. So I'm super pumped up about that. So,
cool.
What about you, Jeremy?
Let's see. My son Evan is doing a GoFundMe fundraiser for his album project, and he is 2/3 of the way there. So he's almost at his goal of being able to finance the recording. Super excited. Just confirmed that the mastering engineer on the project is going to be Michael Romanowski, who.
No way.
Yeah. He's worked. I've worked with him in the past. He's done he's 5-time Grammy winner.
Yeah.
Alicia Keys, Prince, Star Wars soundtrack. I mean, like the biggest of the big. And he's like, I would be honored to work on the project. So that's a major coup. And
how did you get him
awesome.
to get involved with it? Did you just ask?
Well, yeah, but I have worked with him before on he's mastered 2 of my other projects that I've been involved with. So I have a little bit of a relationship with him, and he was all into it. And I just love it. Love it when guys
out there. My favorite thing is like the last 6 months, whenever it comes Jeremy's turn to say his good thing, it always involves Evan. And the dude, the relationship that you have with your son is amazing. And the guy is an incredible piano player. I mean, how many times has he? This might be another Grammy. And
to credit Jeremy as a dad, Evan's a humble cat.
He is, man. He really is.
Humility.
Yeah. So
that's
good job.
Thank you. I hope it doesn't come off like, oh, my son.
No, not at all, dude. It's pure. You're beaming with pride.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I thank the 3 of you guys for supporting the GoFundMe.
Absolutely.
Those were awesome. Feeling the love. All right. Setting realistic goals. We've talked a lot about setting goals on the show before. We've had episodes about setting goals and planning, but this came up for me this week with one of my students, and I talked to Rick about it. He's like, yeah, that comes up for me all the time. And Chip also chimed in, and Bart, everyone's like, yeah, this is definitely worth discussing. Setting realistic goals with an emphasis on realistic, because I have students who come in and, I have a recital coming up in April, just the week before Deck Day. For my students, we do this once a year. Everyone puts together a song, hones it for performance ready, work on it for like 2-3 months, not just 2-3 weeks. And it's always, okay, it's January. What are you guys thinking about? What do you want to do for the recital? And sometimes I get some answers that are like, oh, I want to do this song. I'm like, yeah, there's no way you're going to that's a song that requires a toolbox full of stuff that's going to take you the next 3 years to acquire.
I like
Years.
that. The next 3 years. Thank you for saying that.
right? Not 3 months.
Right.
And it's hard to say that to students. I want to talk to you guys about your experience and how you approach it when the student comes in with eyes way bigger than their capabilities, let's say.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's ways you can simplify things, and you don't always have to play things note for note or just like the record and all that. And, people can have fun playing a song that's a harder song by playing it more simply.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's kind of a different animal when someone says, I want to be able to play, What Is Hip by Tower of Power note for note. And,
Good luck.
you're right. It's like, well, yeah, I'd like to be able to play that too.
Me too. Find a teacher. We'll go take lessons.
Yeah, exactly. So I put it to you guys. Anybody want to jump in with like, what kind of experience have you had with this, and how do you handle it when students come in with goals that are just not plain unrealistic?
I had a guy just yesterday who I've been teaching him for a while. He's a great dude, been taking lessons for a couple of years. And it was a cool way to jump into this topic because he was like, okay, I want to learn how to play Lagrange, but I want to learn it right. Okay. Well, if you've ever played Lagrange, it's not what is hip. Okay. But it's not a cake.
Easy.
It's not a cakewalk to Frank Beard, dude's a badass, man.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times Lagrange and stuff, but listen to songs like Heard It on the X, man. That's a great drum part, and they're well thought out. So to
ZZ Top, for those of you unfamiliar.
Yeah, exactly. ZZ Top. Sorry, my bad. So what we did was we just kind of started with really diving into triplet rhythms. And then we went from there into playing triplet shuffles just as doubles on a snare drum, da, 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 and getting that to happen and feel good. Mm-hmm. And then being able to take the hands and play between the snare drum and the hi-hat to get that opening fill, because the opening fill starts on the end beat of 4, and we kind of started working on all those little things. And then and it was a 2-hour lesson. And then at the end of after the first hour, we started working on just being able to shuffle the kick drum. And I said, now it's going to take you a few months before you can play the groove and before you can play these fills up to speed, but just play them really slow a bazillion times.
Right.
And then I think this is the key to any part, getting it correct. And setting a realistic goal is to be patient with yourself. Have patience, have patience just to go, I'm having teething problems, and I'm not going to take the path of least resistance. I'm going to really go for this. So I thought was kind of a good way to jump into that.
So you did what any good teacher would do, is you broke it down into steps and, pieces to work on. You start slow and build it up, right? What do you do, Rick, when someone comes in, they're like, hey, yeah, I've been playing drums for, 6 months, and, I want to play this song that, requires like several years worth of development.
I can answer my experience. I have a student that came in, he was 16. He was pretty good at playing different stuff. He had about 6 months to a year behind him in drums already when he came to me, and he said he wanted to play Tom Sawyer and note for note, the Rush song. And I realized that was, in my estimation, that was like 2 years away, with some hard work on fundamentals and rolls, and because he didn't have much rudimental discipline. And what I did, or what I do, is if in a case where they have something that's far away from their ability and they really want to play that, I have them get out a piece of paper. You guys have heard this before. I kick a dead horse, but I'm a fan of your handwritten goals. And I tell them to write down 10 songs that they want. Mm-hmm. 10 songs that they want. Chances are there's going to be a couple of those that are attainable in a shorter period of time. Mm-hmm. And I try to get them aligned up with a song that may lend some technique towards building it. And like Bart said, you're breaking it down into manageable steps. It doesn't seem that far away. The other thing I'd like to say is, you know, when I talk about my students making a goal, I kind of get them to do the vision in the clouds, right? The goal, the mission comes from that vision, and that's in the clouds, but the execution of that goal is in the dirt, you know. And so getting something that's closer to the dirt is not like settling for less. It's getting more realistic, like you guys are saying, something that's obtainable, something that's manageable. You know what I mean?
One thing I like about what you said, Chip, is that you try to shift the focus to something that they can do.
Yeah.
You know, it's really easy to be like, yeah, you can't do that. Right.
Yet.
But that's not helpful necessarily to say. You don't want to squash their
you don't want to crush
dreams
by defeat. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to break their spirit.
Right. Right. How about you, Rick?
Well, I definitely do not like to be a dream squasher. And I actually find this one of the most challenging things as a drum teacher, because I'm trying to teach people to play drums, and then they learn the drums, and then they use their skill level to play songs.
Right.
And I have to go over this. It gets so bad or happens so frequently that I really talk to people right at the very beginning of this, of their lessons, that no, don't come to, you know, I might not be your teacher if you're going to bring me your song lists of your set of the songs that you want to play when you don't even know how to play the instrument.
Right.
You know what? And then I explain to them that perhaps the song is, let's just make up levels. Okay. This song could be a level 8. And the drummer who played on it has been playing for 40 years.
Right.
And studied with so many people, went through 1 million drum method books, perhaps, to get to that level where, let's be realistic, you might be just 6 months in. You might be level 1 or 2. You know, I'm just using this level thing as an example to help them understand the concept. So I just say, how can, you know, you're asking me to skip the steps, and you're asking yourself to skip the steps.
Right.
And so, you know, I find a lot of times that people aren't really that adamant. They just get fired up that day about a song.
Yeah.
And then I say, you know, my book system, you know, the How to Build a Drum Groove System, here's a beat, a simple beat, a tangible beat, and here's 10 songs that use that beat. Known songs, hit songs. Why don't we play those first? You know, and let's build this up, and let's, you know, so that's kind of like a launching point. But then of course, sometimes people are, what happens a lot is they're in a band, and the band calls up a song, and they've got to kind of play it, you know, and so it's not out of ego that they want to play this song. They're kind of like, well, I kind of have to do it. And then I will just work with them on like what I call like a student version, or a club version, and do let them realize that, you know, that track that was recorded might have been a one-time thing that the drummer played in the studio that day. Even the drummer who recorded the song may never play that song that day. So what we try to do is kind of look at the style of the song, and at least get like in the ballpark of the feel. Is it a shuffle like LaGrange by ZZ Top, or is it more of a, you know, a steady 8th note thing, or does it swing? And at least start getting like the feel and the vibe, so we kind of push them in the right direction. But they do get sidetracked, I think, because they see videos on YouTube all the time where like, hey, here's how to play. You've seen this. Hey, here, check out my video. Here's how to play Tom Sawyer by Rush, and you can do it too. And just watch my video over and over and over. You know, no, you need 3 years with Chip Ritter if you want to do that.
Right.
So,
I think, Rick, you really hit the nail on the head when you said, you know, I'm teaching you how to play the drums, right? A song is obviously, there's a, you know, sometimes just a goal in and of itself. I just want you to play along with some music, you know. And I always use Tommy Igoe's Groove Essentials, you know. Okay, look, now you can hold this groove down, right? So here's the groove that you can play. You can play this. whatever the groove is. Let's call it Groove X. And here's Tommy Igoe's Groove Essentials, Groove 1 Slow. Now, as we all know, here's the song and here's the drummer. The first time you try to play it, it doesn't dovetail together. It kind of crashes.
Right.
Your ear goes to the song, and you got to, it's got a 2-bar count and click, 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 like, what do I do now? And how do I get it to work? It takes a minute just to be able to play along with music, right? Yeah. So that can be a goal in and of itself. But Rick, you nailed it when you said, I'm teaching you how to play the drums. A song is going to come in the future, and that's like, as you said, like a level 1, let's say you're just starting out.
Well, and as you say, as you point out, songs are applications of skills, right?
Exactly.
Songs are skills. Well said. I feel like, as a teacher, I feel like I have a responsibility to help my students succeed, right? That I care, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And if I let them, try to do this thing that's way too hard, I'm not helping them succeed. I'm setting them up to fail.
Yep.
And there's been a couple of times in the past where I was like, maybe, okay, I don't want to squash. They're so enthusiastic. Let's start working on it. Okay, it's going to be a long, slow, tough road. And sure enough, like within 2-3 weeks, they're like, they lose interest and enthusiasm. Why? Because they can't succeed with it. And in order to reach a goal, you have to feel like you're challenged and that you can succeed with the challenge, with work.
This is one of the things I come in contact with the Tom Sawyer goal. The student, I didn't take that off the table.
Right.
I made sure that he understood, okay, that can be a life type goal. This can still be a goal.
Right.
But we're going to aim for these other things first.
Right.
And we work towards it. In that case, that same student, you talk about Lagrange, he wanted to play Lagrange too. And I started him off on basic shuffle patterns. And we started doing songs like Lonesome Whistle Blues, which is more like a chung, 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 chung. Learning how to do a shuffle is required. So that was like a sub goal.
Yep.
You know what I mean? On the way to Lagrange, you learn about triplets and shuffles. So yeah, I think that it all kind of goes hand in hand with, while you're encouraging students, you always want them to have some fun. There's got to be something fun and rewarding during the lesson to keep them coming back.
I was so inspired by a Dom Famulero clinic, guys, and he described a student who came in, and the student said, I want to play like John Bonham. And Dom said, great, no problem. Here go. And the student said, Tom, that's jazz. That's jazz. That's that jazzy pattern. And Dom's like, yeah, I know. And he said, well, no, I want to play like John Bonham. I want to play Led Zeppelin. And Dom said, yes. and this was going back and forth and back and forth. And Dom's point was that Bonham had a subtle swing to all of his drumming. And so you need to learn to swing before you do that. So, that's the ground floor, is to get that understanding of straight eighth versus the more bouncy, shuffly or swingy pattern. And
hence your point on how to play the drums rather than what exactly to play the song.
And
exactly.
One of the things that when you touch on that, Rick, it does exactly what you said, Chip, teaching the student how to play the drums, not just the song. And Dom used to always say, I heard the same thing about a John Bonham thing once, and with Dom, he goes, I want to play like John Bonham. He goes, okay, listen to Buddy Rich. And no, I want to, now the point is that one of the things that I've heard all three of you guys talk about, and I know I talk about all the time, and that is the history of the instrument. We've had Kelly Ray Tubbs on. She's such a historian of the instrument and of women in drumming and stuff. Knowing the history of the instrument and the people who've played it is a big thing.
Yes.
Can I want to share something with you. This is one of the most challenging situations I face, and I face it with some frequency. And it's exactly related to what we're talking about. It's not necessarily unrealistic goals, but I have a couple of students who are in bands, adults and kids, and some of them are in like their high school. They've made it into the jazz, not the top group, but like the mid-level, or a couple adults in bands. And like someone was saying earlier, oh, the band picks a song and now they've got to play the song, Rick was saying.
Yeah.
Or in jazz band, they get these charts and they're slated to play these tunes and have to play these charts. And we have to do like super hard triage to get them to do their job. In other words, the band's playing the song, they've got a gig in a couple months. Okay, we got to do whatever we can to equip you to play this song when you don't have the skill set right now.
Yeah.
Right? Or we've got to get you like getting your way through this chart, navigating it. And it takes a lot of work. It's really hard work and it's really slow work because they're trying to do things that their hands aren't yet capable of doing. And so they're learning one piece at a time, like, one measure at a time, and then doing it over and over and over and over and over until it gets up to speed, as opposed to, more broadly working on the skill set they need to be able to do that thing. So that it would be easy for them if they had acquired the toolbox first. Right.
Right.
And so, okay, look, we're cramming on these charts, we're cramming on these songs, and we're not working on their other skills. We're not working on their reading. We're not working on their hand speed. We're not working on vocabulary and coordination and vocabulary, whatever, and fills, etc. And, then, okay, the concert happens. Oh, fine. We did it. We got through it. They were able to pull it off. They did well enough. And then they get the next batch of charts. Right. And now we're right back at doing the same thing again. And it's like, oh man, this is no way to go through drum lessons. It's just, it's like cramming and working hard, but we have to, because if they're in the band, they got themselves in, and the band is relying on them to do their part, and the concert's X number of weeks away. And, it's really difficult to have them working on the fundamental things that they need to actually become better drummers, so that that's not such of a strenuous process.
You described it the best right there. I love the way you said it. We're doing triage, and because we're going, okay, we've got to, stop this hemorrhaging. We've got to get in and know how to swing. So I think anybody watching this who's a young student of the instrument who's just starting out, when your drum teacher says, like Rick said, let's play ding, da, da, ding, da, da, ding, and understand how a swing pattern works. When, as Chip said, learn how to do a shuffle, learn these things, even though it may not be the Tom Sawyer song that you want to learn how to play right off the bat, or your favorite rock tune, you're learning a different style. Learn it, because it's going to reap dividends for you if you do. If you're just constantly behind the 8 ball trying to learn a feel that should have been something that you did 2 months into your drum lessons, and you didn't want to do it, that's you're putting yourself in that situation. So learn the fundamentals, learn the fundamentals. It's important. That's why it comes back to what I think all 4 of us preach, and that is learn the rudiments, man. There's 40 of them, 40 rudiments. Learn them. At least have a basic knowledge of them,
This is the thing where if I put myself in Jeremy's shoes with what you're talking about, Jeremy, I've been in your shoes, and I'm currently in your shoes with a couple students that come to mind. We cram, we hurry, we rush, we triage. And then next week it's like, oh, and this song. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute now.
Right.
Hold on. My solution for this, now it may not work for you, but my experience has been that I had to learn what parts of that dream goal scenario that I had to say no to, and say, here's the plan. I'll write out the next step for you towards that goal, but this is on you to do on your time.
I had sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to say it's a delicate line to play. I understand there's no one pat answer for everybody because each student is totally different. But it's like in the podcast Jeremy was in, he talked about a curriculum and how tight you go on the curriculum versus how custom you make it. And I think the problem is getting too custom with that one student on that specific song led them to believe, oh, okay, I can do it. I can just live this way. And it's just not a sustainable way of learning.
Yeah. And students tend to be motivated by, you know, in those situations by fear and like, oh man, I've got to get it together. I
Yeah,
had a student
yeah.
2 weeks ago come in and say, oh, my jazz band director just kind of tore me apart today in class because our concert at this festival is next week. And there's a 16 bar solo I have to take. And then there's another 16 bars that I have to play over these syncopated hits. Help.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, like,
Okay, give me a month to learn it, and then I'll do it.
I mean, it wouldn't have been hard for us, but it was, you know, for a
Yeah,
15-year-old, it was really hard. And, you know, for someone who didn't have the skill set, you know, to improvise well and have clean phrasing, let alone to play around the hits. So, you know, we had to like prescribe specific moves that she had to memorize. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you just kind of repeat it and we did little variations. She ended up pulling it off and, you know, it went well enough, but it's like, oh man, that's you need to be working on all these things to make you a better drummer so that you could be in a position to do that in a year, you know.
One thing,
Every goal has, I'm sorry.
One thing that I think we have to look at too is there's definitely a distinction between a person, I want to play this song, and they're in a band and they've got to play the song. So
Right.
I think we have to separate the two different things.
Yeah, good
So
point.
often, you know, I just had this on Sunday with a student. She brought in this K-pop kind of metal song that was so fast. And her friend, and she said, yeah, my friend really wants to play this. And I'm like, wow, this, you know, for a live band. And she said, yeah. And we listened to it. It had like really heavy guitar and heavy synth. And I said, well, what does the person play that wants to do this song with you? It's like, well, she's a violin player. Like,
yeah.
you don't even have a band. You don't even like the violin. And I saw her play. It's like she could kind of do the melody of one of the solos. And I quickly made her realize, like, you don't need to learn every little stop and all. And it's just like, you know, like you might have some influence on the songs that your band plays as a drummer. You don't always have to let the guitarist or a singer dictate what the set list is going to be. You might have a say in what to play, so it could be tangible for the whole band and enjoyable for the whole band. One thing that can happen is if the song is too fast or too over your head and you're just going for it, what you literally could be doing is practicing mistakes. Because if you don't have that background to play the part, you don't have the technique, you don't have the timing for this, then you might really be drilling mistakes that could mess up your drumming long term and even potentially injure you. Because you know, we've probably all seen our students are just like tensing up. They're just using muscle rather than, you know, relaxed technique to play. And it's true, you could actually injure yourself. And then if it's a like Jeremy, you have this situation you were describing where man, we have to do this performance. Well, then I might even analyze, do you really have to, is that the right step for you to be in this level band? Like how much tension is there to be in that band? I mean, is that really worth it? Is this good for your long-term drumming to play something with players that level? I know it's nice to be the worst person in the band, so you have to step up, but at what cost?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not an option a lot of the time.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that it may not be an option.
But
And
I
I'm not
appreciate the
suggesting
idea.
quitting a band,
Right.
but you know, if somebody's not sleeping at night, you know, and then we always know we have to kind of look at well, then let's just work out a simplified version.
That's it. And to me, that is the one possible solution to this problem that is feasible, which is simplification. Right. And if you're trying to play, if your band has a thing and you have to do it and there's no way out of it, you've got to come up with something that you can do. You can do, not that you can't do. That's going to work for you. That's going to do your job first and foremost, which is to keep time, right? Keep time and keep the form.
Make the music flow, you know, don't disrupt the song.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. and especially you, Jeremy, because you've had this situation, it sounds like a lot.
Mhm.
What if then you have to help them out to create a simplified version?
Right.
Are you going to take your own personal time outside the lesson to start transcribing and figuring it out? Because that's not an easy task. I mean, sometimes people ask, I'm sure we've all had it, where people ask us to play songs and we don't even know how to play them.
I do it right there on the spot.
Yeah.
So, I write out grooves, but I'll write down one measure that is something that I think they can play,
Uh-huh.
or maybe two measures, right? Or maybe there's a one measure for the verse and one measure for the chorus or whatever. I'm not going to transcribe a whole chart because that's not going to help them at all, right? They can't read fluently.
Well,
So
transcribing a simple retranscribing a student version for them.
yeah, that's what I do, but I don't do the
Yeah.
whole chart. I just do some,
Right.
that
Part.
a whole, just a part or parts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I usually do one measure of something that's manageable within a week.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
The thing I wanted to add, if I'm on a goal setting podcast right now with realistic goals, I would be remiss to say that writing this goal statement out is huge for actual attainment. When you have your own handwriting and it's on a piece of paper, you don't have to be like, it doesn't have to be, I'm so happy and grateful now that I can play Tom Sawyer. You can say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I can play this version of this song. You write that out and set a deadline for yourself. You'd be amazed at how many people set goals that are in writing compared to the people that set goals that are not. Much more of them are attained when they're in writing. It's like a commitment. It's like a future contract.
Yeah, and I like that fact that you said that it's in your own handwriting, because you see it that actually, that came from your thought, from your hand, and I think reaching, as Jeremy said, like however you want to put it, a simplified version of a song, and I can play that. And then maybe whatever it is, we keep saying Tom Sawyer. Now I'm going to work in some of the ghost notes. Now I'm going to work in, X, Y, and
each of those could be a written statement themselves.
Right.
But I'm just saying, when I have my students write it out in their own handwriting, we decide on exactly what we want. We make sure that it's attainable. And then we say, we set a deadline for this specific thing, especially when it's a band concert that they have to do. And we know that we've got to be done by a certain date. We figure out what kind of version we can do by that date and then break that down into daily tasks. And it's up to them to take those actions on a daily basis. And when that's listed out on a piece of paper, I've had so much more success with that with students than when we haven't done it.
I agree. Writing things down makes a huge difference. Rick, you brought up a point earlier I think is really important. I want to circle back to, which is the distinction between people that are in a position where they have to get something that's over their heads in a short amount of time versus people who, let's say, have a, distorted perception of their own ability and are setting a goal that is like, why would you do that? Like that's something that's maybe a couple of years down the road. And that's two different things.
Yeah.
Right? There's sort of like, on the one hand, there's an awareness that people have, like, oh man, I'm in over my head. I need desperate help. Help me get through this with the simplest thing I can figure out and succeed with. Right. Mm-hmm. And then there's the people who are like, oh no, I think I'm able to do this really hard thing in a short amount of time and to me, that's where there's the disconnect. And that's the place where you really need to be sensitive, like you were talking about. Because people are like, have this idea about who they are and what they can play and what their abilities are. And it's disconnected from reality on some level.
Yes. Yes. And that's where sometimes what they bring in is really, really hard. And it's understandable that they don't know how hard it is.
Right. Okay. Good point.
And that's very, very fair. And I say, I understand that. And then they see the video. This just happened this week also. Well, that part didn't look, this girl who did this cover who got 4.5 million views, it didn't look like the beat she was doing or what she was doing was that hard. It's like, well, no, it really was. She's just doing it with ease because she's practiced it so many times times before,
Right.
and then I'll let's take a look at it, and then I'm like, hey, I don't know what that drum fill is. They'll think, what? I thought that you knew how to play everything under the sun. No,
Mhm.
no, I don't know what that fill was.
Yeah.
Like, I'm near 50 years of drumming experience, and it took me like over and over and over to get it,
Right.
and then they see like they kind of have an understanding. But the other thing that always makes it easier too is if I can find a drum chart. There's so many sources for finding drum charts. I try to find the song. I'll put the drum chart up on the screen, and if they can read, they're really in. Then it's like more changeable. But
Yeah.
it's and then they might even get inspired to start diving in and reading more, because if you can read it, man, it's just opening up the doors for you to be able to play it and really understand it. It's like black and white and right there in front of you. And so it can be very motivating for them to start really locking in with the reading. And then we go, okay, well, that part's got lots of syncopation, lots of accents. Here's a beat similar in my book, to that beat, maybe not as complicated.
Here's a beat with training wheels on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
beat with training wheels on it.
Like
That's
that.
a great description. Yeah, and sort of, well, let's lock in with that first, and then we can build on it, and then you're going to be more authentic. So it's definitely a tricky dynamic, I think, for every drum teacher to figure this out.
Yeah.
When you made a point, when you're talking about the video and somebody playing something, and I first of all, I applaud you, because I really like it when a student asks me how to play something. I'm like, God, I'm not sure, and then they go, well,
Yeah.
you don't know everything. It's like, no, I've been doing this my whole life.
You got to call Chip.
Yeah, I gotta say, let me, Jeremy, are you home? Whatever. They have to realize that, we are students of the instrument as well. That's why we do this podcast, And one of the things that I always tell my students whenever they say that, Rick, when they're like, well, look, here's a video of this girl playing or this guy playing this drum part, and they, look, they're just blazing through it. And I always just, when you witness a video or a concert or anybody doing something, and it doesn't have to be drumming, it could be flying an airplane, whatever. When you see somebody doing something they're really good at, you're witnessing the end result of years of hard work.
Right.
I mean, if you go see a master carpenter that builds a beautiful piece of cabinetry, and it's all built nice and dovetailed together and doweled, and it's, that's craftsmanship. That's years of work to be able to get to that point. And
I think often when my students are approaching trying to reach this high lofty goal and getting discouraged, or that topic comes up with goal setting, I often try to get into their grill and get into their kitchen, get into their business on what are they doing during the days that they're not in the drum lesson. And looking at the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle of 20% of your actions are going to provide 80% of the results. And we look at things like, because goals take a price, there's a price to be paid. You have to invest time, and you have to, I can't assume that every student is like me and wants to be a rock star ninja drummer and is dedicated to warming up every day, working on these chops, working on this. Finding out what they spend their time on and having an honest discussion about, okay, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to attain this goal, and just having an honest discussion with them about the time they spent, because you never know, there may be some 2-hour binging on videos that are not helping to reach the goal. And that time could be, how about give me 20 minutes of that? You know what I mean? Working on this.
I love that, Chip. I love that. Cause it's sort of like, let's get down to reality. Let's get down to the, where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. Like, okay, I've just told you that this is going to be, this song, if you want to pull it off, is going to be a really, really, really heavy lift. It's going to take a lot of work because you don't yet have the skill set, commensurate with what you need to play that song. Now you want to do a simplified version, that's a different story. But okay, so this is going to take extra above whatever you think it's going to do or what you're used to. So how are you spending your time? And how many minutes did you work on that groove? And how far did you get with it? And it's okay, so now let's project out, and then for you to get the whole verse, that's going to take you, if that first measure took you a week and you're still 20 BPMs too slow, what's it going to take to get all these other things you're hoping to get?
Yeah, most of the experts that I know, I've been a fan of goal setting for a long time. Most of the experts that I know that I follow that have been proven true to me is you take what you think it's going to take and multiply that by 3.
Right.
You're really to be realistic. I mean, I one New Year's in late 2016, something like that. I decided one New Year's that I'm going to teach myself. I'm going to learn how to play Hot for Teacher, the drum intro on the bass drum, legitimate with Hertas. And I gave myself a year, and it took 3 years.
Wow.
But I did it. I can post a link to the video on how I did it. But, that's one of those examples of like, okay, being realistic. Had I been more realistic about what I was spending my time doing during the day, I could have made it in that year. But I wasn't willing to sacrifice my Netflix. I wasn't willing to sacrifice my go to the movies with my buddies.
Having a life. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When it comes down to it, we're not asking you to be Elon Musk and sleep in your office.
Well,
the Olympics, there
the
are
Olympics
some things that we can sacrifice.
The Olympics are about to start in a few days, right? And I'm like an Olympics junkie. I watch that stuff till 3 a.m.
I love the Olympics
too. Do you really?
Oh man, I can't get enough. Yeah. And it's like that. You see these athletes compete for like all 45, 60 seconds. And that's the whole thing. That's just 60 seconds. But underneath that is like a decade or
Years.
More of sacrifices.
Yes.
It's so funny that you said that because I love the Olympics. I love the Winter Olympics, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is, but there's going to be somebody out there hate me for this. I remember the first time I ever saw curling. Okay. And the people that compete in curling, some of them are athletic looking, some of them are not as athletic looking. I'm just going to leave it at that. Right. And I'm watching that and I'm going, come on, I can do that. It's got to be it looks so easy, but it's got to be so hard to do. Again, back to, that's years of work to be able to push that darn thing and get the broom out, And in my mind, I'm just like, I'm going to get a rock and roll it down the hallway. And honey, you go sweep in front of it. Let's see what happens.
There may be some exceptions to,
all of this is a testament to why you should have a drum teacher. Because that's our job, is to shorten that learning curve, is to provide you with the experience that we have of the failures we made, the warning posts, the warning signs we can say is like, hey, maybe this isn't the right approach. I found that when I did this worked. So let's try that.
That's right. And you could look at that and say, if some of the people who just want to get it by ear, I'm like, if you could just totally get it by ear, then maybe you don't need me because you actually have that, or you think you have that ability to do it. And that's why I almost every time, honestly, if someone learns to read, then I can help them get their goal. Almost every time, if they just want to sound it out, they're just guessing it and they're not really getting it. And almost every time they don't reach the goal. And when someone does ask for one of these Mount Everest goals, I do say to them, I believe that you could do it.
Right.
I do believe it's tangible. I think you could do it, and then let me explain to you what's involved and let's look at it.
That's how, when I go to buy a car, I say to the salesman, I believe you could sell the car for that price. You're just not going to sell it to me.
That is right. Another thing that I want to say on a positive note is I have been so pleasantly surprised and delighted about some of my students that they've been able to pull off their goals and their
Mhm.
dreams and play songs. And
Yeah.
it's just so this can be very, very motivating, and we're not here to crush anyone's dreams. And
Yeah,
it's one of
one
the
thing.
coolest things ever about
That's right.
teaching.
That's right. That's right. James made a
One,
really good comment along those lines. Sorry, Chip.
no, it's
Um,
all good.
he says finding a balance to keep them encouraged and yet still learning weekly lessons and not derailing for one song can be difficult. And I
Yeah.
think that that speaks to the larger thing we touched on earlier about like keeping people motivated. You know, there's a balance there between that and they have to be able to succeed. They have to be challenged and they have to be challenged with something that they can succeed at.
Yeah.
If you don't get success with it, that's when you start feeling like frustrated and, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
demotivated.
That's the other reason
Yeah.
you make your goals clear, make them specific, make them time bound. Write a list about all the things that would need to be true for this goal to happen, and then organize that list into a plan. Put that plan into your daily tasks, into your schedule. That's where the rubber meets the road. And then the other thing I would say is I've had success when a student does get discouraged, because often it happens with my lessons, because I'm always like, I'm pushing them. I'm like, what's the limit we can, what's the red line, and how can we blow the engine on this lesson so I can figure out what to do to not blow the engine. When they get discouraged, I remind them to compare themselves to themselves.
Right.
Last
Yeah.
week,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago,
Oh,
a month
yeah.
ago,
Right.
I couldn't even do this a month ago.
Right.
Look at the progress that you've already made.
Yep.
I call that thinking backwards.
Yeah.
One of my favorite
Right.
things that I'm hearing on this podcast is from the three of you guys is, and this is one of the reasons why I love Dak and you guys are such dear friends to me. Over and above the fact you're great people, you're great teachers and you really care. I mean, the fact that Rick just said, I'm always encouraged and I love seeing a student reach their goals. Jeremy, you had mentioned, earlier on that you really care about the student and want and you're invested in them. I'm hearing that from Chip. I know that's how I feel. I encourage anybody out there that sees this who wants to learn how to play the drums or any instrument, seek out teachers like these three guys that I'm on the podcast with, guys that really care about your well-being. They want you to be able to reach your goals. They want you to be able to be able to, grab that brass ring for yourself, whatever that brass ring is,
You also want somebody to be honest with you too.
Right.
My teacher, Fred Hayes, I came into my first lesson with him and he was just this monster. I had seen him play with this big band and he was tearing it up and his drums sounded so great. And I said, okay, cool, drum lesson. So I want you to teach me how to tune my toms to sound like yours so I can sound like that studio quality when I'm playing live. I want you to teach me how to tune the toms like that. And he looked at me just flat out dead in the face and he stared at me straight in my eyes and he said, "Don't you think you should learn to play the snare drum first?"
Oh,
and I was just like,
Ooh.
And then he went on to explain how that facilitates the rest of the drums, how the rudiments are connected with your, he went on to explain that stuff, but he was honest with me. He was like, look, here's what we should probably be started with, and we can tune the toms. That'll come, but he was honest with me about the realistic aspect of that goal.
Yeah. So I agree. And that's why you should when you're thinking about your goals, why not recruit someone who's got lots and lots and lots of experience, both achieving goals and helping people achieve goals, to be your partner in figuring out, how you can get there and what you can get.
Well said. Be your partner. Well said.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take a lesson from an Instagram monster drummer who's overplaying everything and on top of everything. I'm not gonna take a lesson from him on how to play Neil Peart's solo from Exit Stage Left.
Right.
I'm gonna go to my friends that I know have those skill sets, that level of chops, that can explain the process. Like Glenn Sobel, I took a lesson from him, and my hand speed improved like 20% within 6 months
Wow.
because of the things he gave me, the exercises he gave me, and because of my willingness to actually employ the plan that he wrote for me. You know what I mean? It's one thing to have a personal trainer work out with you and give you that encouragement. It's another thing to learn how to catch those fish by yourself.
Mm.
Right. That's right.
Awesome.
Well said,
That's
Chip.
right.
Well said.
Yeah.
Great stuff today, you guys. Really, really a great discussion, and I'm always inspired by what I hear from you guys. So really, really terrific. What do we have next week?
We have make your plans for deck day because it's coming up and you got to get your ticket. That's what we got going on next week.
Here,
Go to
Chip,
the event page.
put the link in one more time at the bottom.
Right, the event's coming up.
If you weren't here at the very beginning of the show, we do have our next deck day event already planned. It's going to be August 25th at Aquarian Drumheads in Orange, California. April 25th. That's why I have friends. To correct me when I'm wrong. April 25th at Aquarian. We're going to have 4 drum clinics. We're going to have loads and loads of free drum gear giveaways if you buy a
12
ticket.
to 5 p.m. Yep.
We're going to have discounts on heads. It's so much fun. So if you haven't been, come this year. If you have been, we know we'll see you there again.
And,
Fred Fisher, we know that you're going to be there because you, Fred, might win the dream date with Chip Ritter.
Yeah. That's the
get
grand
ready
prize.
because our maitre d' has clown shoes.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your comments. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
See you guys.
Play us out, Rick.